6 p.m. and I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Kaneland Board of Education. We would like to inform all board meeting attendees that this meeting is being live streamed and archived for access at any time by our community members on the internet within 24 to 48 hours of the meeting's conclusion. And the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. McCauley, if you would, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Here.
Mr. Kleisner. Mr. Cook.
Here.
Dr. Lawler.
Here.
Mr. McCauley.
Here.
Jennifer Simmons is absent. Mr. Stalcup.
Here.
Okay, with 5 members present, we have a quorum. Is there anything the board would like to move from consent to new business? All right. I will therefore entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Stalcup.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye. Motion carries 5 to... Actually,
0.
5 to 0, yeah. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. It's now time for board/superintendent salutes. I will turn it over to Dr. Rowling.
All right, so we have a fuller house than usual. So for our first salute, I'm going to hand it off to Mr. Faulkner.
Thanks, everyone. So we have our track coaches here that I'm going to call up because they're going to talk a little bit about the success we had through the IESA State Series for track and field.
I'm just gonna pass this book around for everybody. Thank you.
You want the kids too?
Sure, come on up, y'all. Come on up. Yeah. Come on up. This is fine, just like this. I don't need to be any closer. Okay. Alrighty. Hi, and thank you for having us here tonight. We are proud to talk about the harder track season and to honor some of our athletes here on this summer break. With about 200 athletes in our program, tons of success, and a lot of people to credit, we want to ensure that we don't skip any details. However, I'll go quick to respect your time. I'm Kendall Lawson. I'm an assistant boys coach. This is Alyssa Galvin, head girls coach. Jackie Hagan, assistant girls coach. Carrie Pitstick, assistant girls coach. Boys head coach Zach Martinelli and assistant boys coach Morgan Getchell couldn't be here tonight. First, we'd like to thank you to our athletic director, Patty Patterman, who goes above and beyond to help us with everything, offer solutions, help to grow our program, engage with athletes, schedule meets, workers, which is an endeavor in itself, and this year prepare on the last few days of school to send 25 kids and 6 coaches to state. We appreciate her guidance and dedication to Harder. We also want to thank Brian Faulkner, Chris Weiss, Jay Bodine, and Sean Herron for their support, supervision, and dedication to our kids during the season and always. Maggie Pacana, a teacher here, was a great asset who stepped up to help us out during meets, and we so appreciate her. Also, a big thank you to the workers who came out to help in any way at meets this year, and we did have some cold ones this year. In the papers we passed out, you'll see more details of a lot of names, a lot of events, but we'll summarize some of our high points. One of them is that we had about 130 7th and 8th graders show up to practice every day chasing their own PR. We learned a lot about ourselves or themselves throughout the regular season meets. For some, it's a brand new sport or event. Some are trying to break the school record or, like I said, hitting their PR. Lots of excitement throughout the regular season. The grind really is real throughout April. In May, we gear up into the postseason. We attended the conference meet at Burlington Central High School. 7th grade girls placed 3rd. We have some 7th grade girls up here. They did a great job. 8th grade girls placed 5th. 7th grade boys placed 4th. And 8th grade boys placed 3rd. We had 8 individual conference champs, which we are incredibly proud of that. as well as 3 relay teams as conference champs. It was an awesome day, a great weather day, which matters in track. There were many super close calls and athletes who ended up with a 2nd or 3rd place finish, which we listed in the packet in front of you as well. The next weekend in May is sectionals, which is hosted at DeKalb Huntley. We battled some weather during this meet. We battled 16 teams nonetheless. 7th grade girls had a 3rd place finish at sectionals. 8th grade girls had a 5th place finish. 7th grade boys a 5th place finish, and 8th grade boys a 5th place finish. Sectionals is where athletes qualify for state. And there we qualified 4 relay teams and 5 individuals. The final weekend of our season is in Peoria and at the IESA state meet. With how the calendar falls, our state meet was after school got out this year. So the day after school got out, we boarded a big bus, which matters because we had such a big team going down, and that's really exciting. So we boarded a big bus, which was decorated and full of swag bags and goodies for our athletes and coaches from awesome parents. Thank you to them. That was really exciting for us. Early Friday morning, we got there for our athletes to participate in the Parade of Athletes, which was a really cool experience with a banner donated from the Duncan family. That was be able to rep Kaneland among all the other athletes that were there, so that's a really cool experience. We set up camp and got ready to watch our first athlete. The next 36 hours, we spent together as a team, cheering each other on and watching some become all-state athletes, so awesome stuff. Everybody pretty much PR'd against the best competition, enjoyed some meals with some middle school students, great times, and had a good time as a team. So we came home with some medals, and top 8 at state in middle school are considered all-state. And so Owen Gunn's team was his all-state, he's 8th place in long jump, he's a 7th grader. The 7th grade girls 4x2 team, 7th place, so Zahira Clark, Abby Homko, Peyton Klosterman, and Lila Cornett. The 100-meter dash girls 7th grade 5th place was Lila Cornett, and the 200-meter dash girls 7th grade 3rd place winner was Lila Cornett. Just a note about Lila, she's actually a 6th grader that runs up with 7th grade, so I think we'll be hearing a little about Lila in the future, which is exciting for us. So. Lastly, and probably most important, during the season, both the high school girls program and high school boys program come over and work with our kids, and that matters. The camaraderie and relationships we have as a staff with Coach McCown and Coach Drendel, I think we believe is what helps our programs be as strong as they are. So we just wanted to share that we are thankful to have that connection and partnership with them. The last regular full practice of the season, they get to practice with the boys team, and the boys side of things, our guys idolize those guys, and so that's probably one of the coolest moment for them to be able to sit and talk to them. So thank you to our athletes and their families who come out each day ready to work and wanting to get better. As a coaching staff, we really enjoyed this group of athletes and are grateful to their families who help them become better every day, and for picking them up on time, and for all you do. So thank you, and go Knights.
We always love to hear about the success of our Knights. Tonight we're also introducing a number of new administrators. So for that, I will turn it over to Dr. Adkins.
Thank you. So yes, we do have a number of new admins to introduce tonight. I have the privilege of introducing Mr. Brian White, our new principal of McDowell Elementary. So come on up, Mr. White. This is just a reminder to the board. We do go through a 3-tiered process to hire administrators. We have a screener, we have group interviews, and then a final interview process that involves performance tasks that have to be submitted. It involves some one-on-one conversations with the superintendent. We'd like to thank Mrs. Simmons and Dr. Lawler for attending the group interview process with our staff, support staff, teachers, and other admins. So after a thoroughly exhaustive search, we're glad to have Brian join the team, and Brian's going to introduce himself, tell us a little bit about himself, and introduce his family, I believe. So,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Again, Brian White. I want to start by thanking the district administration as well as the school board and the McDowell staff for entrusting me to be the principal at Kaneland McDowell Elementary. I'm truly honored and humbled to join Kaneland 302. From the very beginning, I could feel a sense of warmth and a sense of family, and I very much feel like I am part of the family already. The district's commitment to academic excellence and community partnership aligns perfectly with my own vision and my own values. For the past decade or so, I was in Naperville 203, where I served as a math teacher as well as an assistant principal. I gained a lot of experiences that have fueled my passion for supporting students as well as staff members to be the best that they can be, and I'm excited to continue to gain those experiences. I brought my family with me. We come in, 5 deep, and family is very, very important to me, which is why I love feeling like I'm part of the Kaneland family already. I'll start with introducing everybody. Elise, who is the perfect definition of a companion and a partner. She's caring, my biggest support system. She pushes me to be a better person and a better educator and a better father every single day. She's a mom, which says a lot. But she's also probably my favorite superhero, which you'll come to realize very quickly that that's a big deal. If you haven't already noticed my tie, I'm a big superhero fan. And she truly is my biggest superhero. We have 3 kids. Jace is our oldest. He is 8 years old. Next in line is Callie. She is 7 years old, and then Emerson is 3. I love being outdoors. I really enjoy watching Blackhawks hockey. It's a struggle right now to watch them, but they're back on TV without an antenna now, so I'm pretty excited about that. And again, just in closing, I'm beyond excited to collaborate with everyone in this room, as well as the community that we serve, to create an inspiring and supportive learning environment for every student. So thank you for this incredible opportunity, and I look forward to contributing to the continued success of Kaneland. Thank you.
When he says he likes superheroes, one of the most commented observations during the group interviews was the very large and present Marvel socks that were being worn that day. I think it won a lot of favor because we do like to have people with a sense of humor and such. I'm going to introduce Mrs. Melinda Cattell, who's over here, who's going to introduce her new assistant principal for Kaneland High School.
Hi, Melinda Cattell, principal at Kaneland High School. Very excited and very happy to announce our new assistant principal for student services, Haley Albamonte.
Good evening, guys. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be part of Kaneland. I actually am a community member and have been living in Elburn for about 3 years now. I actually started my coaching career when I got into high school athletics at Kaneland High School and was part of a second at state softball team in 2017. So very, very excited to be back. Past 8 years, I've spent time as a special education teacher and department chair, head softball coach, worked in a variety of different capacities. So very excited that Melinda, Kaneland High School, and the district entrusted me to be the next assistant principal of student services. I do have one recent Kaneland graduate, my stepson Connor Anderson, and I currently have a senior, Madison Anderson, who you'll see with me at 99% of school events. So I'm really excited to hopefully have a bigger impact on not only my children's education, but the community. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Next up, I'm going to introduce Brian Faulkner.
Hi, everyone. Come on up, Pam. So I am excited to introduce Pam Hernandez, our new assistant principal at Harder. Just a couple of things, because you know I love to talk. We had a really, really tough candidate pool. It was competitive, and she came out on top. But we also had a really rigorous interview process. We were joking about it earlier today, and she did wonderful. In her experience, her know-how, it is going to help us become even better at Harder. But I think what really sold us about Mrs. Hernandez was her personality. She is so positive, and I love that. You know I love that. So I love to introduce Pam Hernandez.
Good evening, everyone. As Brian had said, my name is Pam Hernandez, and It's an honor to introduce myself as the new assistant principal for student services at Harder Middle School. I'm excited to join such a dedicated team of educators to support students, staff, and families in Kaneland and continue the tradition of excellence in education. My background, I have 20 years, just about 20 years in education, special education, and between elementary and middle school, so I've been through most of the grades. I also want to talk about my family. They took up pretty much the whole row here. So I'm going to introduce my husband, Rob. He is a police officer. And then we have our wonderful 5 children. My oldest, Joseph, and then Sophia, Eva, Allie, and Jace. Today's actually Jace's birthday, so he's very excited to be here celebrating 2 big things. He's like, but yes, my family keeps me grounded, definitely on my toes, and they are my inspiration. I'm thrilled to be part of this community, and I'm looking forward to building strong connections here as well. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and go Knights!
We do have one other new administrator, but is on a pre-existing cruise with his spouse. So we will bring him back at a future board meeting. Mr. Stephen Lucas II is the dean from one of our neighboring high schools and athletic director, and we were able to steal him to become the dean here at Kaneland High School. So we're very excited to bring all of our new administrators here. They have a lot of great experiences, a lot of great positivity, and we're excited to have them join our team as we continue to become a district of excellence. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
And one last salute from me. I got this text this weekend. I was really excited to hear this. So congratulations to sophomore Jack Bicker on becoming the first Kaneland student to make the All-State Theater production. So we'll work on getting him here at an upcoming meeting to be recognized, but fantastic accomplishment by him. So. And that's all the salutes I have for the evening.
Okay. Dr. Brogan,
None this evening.
members of the board? Ryan?
I'm here.
No, did you have? No, did you have some?
I don't have.
Okay, I saw that. Yeah. All right. The board appreciates.
Thanks for coming out.
Everyone, thank you for. The board appreciates everyone in attendance this evening and invites you to stay as we move to. Au
That line
revoir.
always kills.
Au revoir. To the new business part of the meeting. We understand that not everyone is able to stay for the entire meeting. And we wanted to make sure you know that this is an open meeting, so you're able to come and go as you need. We look forward to seeing you at future meetings. So if you're here from now on, it's your fault. Tonight's consent agenda contains the following information. Under action items, approval of the accounts payable and payroll for June 2025. Number 2, approval of the treasury report for May 2025. Approval of personnel. Approval of meeting minutes from the June 23rd, 2025 special meeting. Approval of the destruction of audio recordings from closed session meetings from December 2023. Memorandum agreement with Kaneland Arts Initiative, KAI. Approval of review and monitor of policies and exhibits on second reading. Approval of mechanical work, 2025 cooling equipment, replacement information, and then the informational items. Freedom of Information Act report. I will now entertain a motion to approve the consent items listed.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Cook?
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Stalcup.
Aye.
Mr. Mankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kleisner.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. The consent agenda is approved.
It should be page 8.
Okay, new business. The first item of new business is an update. Oh, I'm sorry, public comment. Anybody?
No?
First item of new business is an update from the Caneville Fire Department. Dr. Rowan, could you please provide more information for us all?
For this update, I'm going to hand it off to the chief from Caneville. So, welcome.
Everybody must have known I was going to talk and left. I'm just going to do a quick update on changes that Caneville has made in the past few months, hope for better response times and things for the high school. For ambulance calls out there, you're going to get an EMS squad from Caneville, which is a 6 to 9 minute response, and an ambulance from Maple Park now, which should be a 6 to 9 minute response. All these response times are estimated. You know, there's various factors in them, but these are the times we're shooting for to try to make it in. For an accident, you'll get engines from Caneville, Maple Park, 7 to 10 minute response times, ambulance from Maple Park, and you'll get a chief from Maple Park and Caneville, which should be 7 to 10 minutes as far as the chief's getting there. For a fire alarm, you're going to get 3 engines, Caneville, Maple Park, Sugar Grove, ambulance from Maple Park, tender, which hauls water, if anybody doesn't know, will come from Caneville. The ladder truck will be coming from Elburn with about a 13 to 15 minute response because they're coming off of Hughes Road. And you'll get chiefs from Caneville, Maple Park, and Elburn. For structure fires, I'm not going to name all the departments, but you'll get 5 engines, 3 ambos, 2 tenders, 2 trucks, and 3 chiefs for if we have a confirmed fire out here. So we're hoping to, like I said, help with a lot of response times and things. A lot of the biggest change we're making will be Maple Park being your responding ambulance now because they have a shorter response time than Big Rock. There was nothing wrong with Big Rock. They were a great department and everything, but we're just hoping to have an ambulance out here quicker now for the school. And Caneville is also going into we're starting it July 7th. We're going to try to have EMS, an emergency medical technician, in-house during school hours, from 6:30 to 3:30 every Monday through Friday. So we're hoping that that'll help that response time also with Caneville getting out here to do a first response, hopefully even before the AMBO, but they should get there about the same time. In the future, I know it's a concern with Caneville getting an ambulance. It's all up in the air, right? There's nothing set in stone on this. They're going to try to run a referendum in 2027. That's the next time they can run one. If that passes, then their goal is to try to get an ambulance in-house, which will take a full year anyway to get that done. Just because of when the money comes in and getting everything organized, it'll take that long. So that's kind of the update for Caneville. And anyway, that's all I got, unless somebody needs something. So,
Thank you, Chief.
all righty.
Thanks for your time.
And I hate to follow everybody else, but I probably will. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. The second item of new business is the approval of the tentative budget for Kaneland Consolidated Unit School District number 302. Dr. Bogan,
Yes.
if you could provide more information, please.
Yes, so, tonight I am presenting the tentative budget for the 25-26 school year. As required by state law, the board must approve a tentative budget and place it on public display for at least 30 days, prior to its final adoption. This year, the final adoption is scheduled for September 15th. So that's a long time between now and between them. And I know last week at the board meeting, I gave an update a very short one on where we were with the tentative budget. And at that time, operating funds were looking positive by about $750,000. I also shared that, you know, the budget is a snapshot in time. And so if we go back and look at the budget today where it stands tentatively, it's almost flat. Operating funds are actually sitting at a negative by about $38,000. And so we know that from tonight, when the tentative budget is adopted, until we get to the final budget, there will be changes. And so throughout the summer, the board and community are going to receive regular updates, not only at the board meetings officially, but also through those weekly communications as well. My other goal is also to share that information with all Kaneland staff so that they can see basically the process of the budget and those changes as they're happening in real time. So before we get into the tentative budget, I do just want to give a recap of where we're at for the current budget. And just please know that these are based on unaudited financials. Once we have those audited financials, or we're closer to having that draft, the board and the community will get an updated of those final numbers. Back in September of '24, the board was asked and did adopt an operating budget of $78.9 million. Unaudited expenditures right now, we came in under budget at approximately $77.2 million. There's a couple things with that. When this was developed, we still had expenditures still to go, so there's some outstanding money. And we also still had some revenue still be collected. There's about $1 million between state and federal payments that we anticipate getting basically from now through August 31st. Right now, we are looking at an operating deficit of about $4 million. So we had budgeted for approximately 4.2. Right now, we're a little bit under what was budgeted. When all is said and done, when all expenditures are in, when additional revenue is collected, we anticipate ending the year officially at about $3.7 million. So better than budgeted, but not huge significant gains there. Right now, we are still waiting on some payments. Like I had said, overall, it's about $1 million. In the past year, we received approximately $7.5 million in evidence-based funding. Enrollment was down slightly by about 1.6% from the previous year. We did also, for this year, I know we had shared previously that we continue to use Forecast 5 for projections. We did that this year. We did update some of those assumptions to build this actual budget for this year because we knew what finals would be. When assumptions were done and those forecasts were done, we had used 4% as a placeholder for health insurance. Well, we know that the increase is 3%, so that saves some money there. But as we look ahead to the budget for the 25-26 school year, the total tentative budget right now is at $91.7 million with operating expenditures at $77.5 and then revenues at $77.4, so very close to being balanced. I do anticipate that we won't be in such a good, strong position come September because we do know that we'll most likely have some summer creep. We'll add a few positions. We're also monitoring very closely revenues on the federal side, some title money. The state has yet to receive that money, and so there's about $66,000 that we're not quite sure that will be directed to the district that we've received in the past. So right now that revenue is in the budget. We may need to pull that out.
Is this the Title I funding?
It's actually Title II
Title II,
funding.
okay.
And then on the transportation side, we know that the state is furthering to prorate the transportation reimbursement, and some of those initial numbers that we've heard are anywhere from 6 to 9% basis points lower than it was last year. And so right now, I have basically put in very conservative numbers at about $1.2 million what we expect to receive in special ed and also 1.2 for general ed. So that may go up slightly, it may go down slightly depending what happens there. But right now, those are really the two big areas where I see possible shifts in revenue happening. But again, with all of that, right now for operating, we are looking at an operating deficit of just over $38,000. So still much different than the 4.2 million that we had for last year. In terms of revenues, I do want to point out that we are projecting an increase of $3.3 million from the tax levy that is directly attributable to and being driven by that equalized assessed value by new EAV and new construction. So state funding, we do have staying flat. Federal funding, we do have staying flat. Just slightly lower because that ESSER 3 money that we had about $200,000 is now officially all gone and we will not be getting back. So on the expenditure side, we're seeing the overall budget is 2.5% lower than prior year, but we are seeing that slight increase in our revenues, and that's why we're able to balance that budget. The expenditure side is directly related to the budget deficit plan that was approved earlier this year for the upcoming year. So the reductions in staffing, the reductions in capital outlay was a huge portion of that. And then also looking at just operational expenses overall. So if we think about each individual fund, right now the ed fund does show a projected surplus of about $477,000. That's the area where I think we're going to see that what's showing a surplus right now, it's going to be much closer to zero by the time summer is over, because we know that, whether it's IEP related or those things that we are required to provide, we do anticipate some creep there. And then right now, the operations and maintenance fund is showing a deficit of $160,000. That is largely due to the 20% increase that we have in there for utilities. And so Mr. Payton and I will be looking at that fund and looking at the O&M budget to see what we can do there. And then again, the transportation fund right now is another area where, as a district, we do need to continue to work. It is showing a projected deficit of approximately $555,000. And that right now is really just the increased costs that we see year over year, whether it's maintenance, the cost of buses, all of that, and then the anticipated state proration for reimbursement continuing to go down.
The reduced state reimbursement.
Correct. So we're looking to see what we can do there. Our transportation team, I think, runs a very tight ship. We do as a district have longer ride times, and so we want to be really mindful as we make decisions in that department with respect to that budget, also keeping the student and staff experience that they have, and what those guidelines are in mind as we're making them. And then debt service fund, this remains stable. Our debt service payment will be approximately $12.4 million per year, and that's due to the restructuring that we did as part of the referendum. So no increases there. IMRF and FICA do have very small deficits planned, but that's just to draw down those current fund balances. We don't need to carry, we don't need to levy more, we don't need to budget more in those areas than we need to pay. So working to bring that down. And then working cash fund, it remains positive. And that is an area that can continue to support overall cash flow. So as we get closer to final budget, looking at the working cash fund, if we still have a negative O&M fund and we do have a negative transportation fund, that will most likely be an area that I will come back to the board and into the community and recommend transferring some of that money from working cash into O&M and into transportation to cover those shortfalls as we look to further find solutions for that, for a long-term problem. I do just want to share that many people have contributed to getting the tentative budget together, and it is just, all of that work is so much appreciated, and so I will make sure that when we get to final budget that I share those names with everyone. It is in the memo that's been provided, but this is definitely not something that I do single-handedly at all. It takes a huge team to get this done. And so just to reiterate, the plan tonight, the board will be asking, we're asking that you adopt the tentative budget, but please know that throughout the summer you'll be receiving regular updates, both in weekly communications and then at board meetings. As we work, to get to that final budget, my plan is to come with the final budget, since that's what we're adopting, not only highlighting the changes that have occurred throughout the summer, but going into more detail, whether it's by function and object, and just giving a more in-depth picture of what the budget actually entails, whether it's salary, benefit information, purchase services, by fund. So you have all of that information in front of you today, and it's also posted publicly for the community to see. They can go to the board documents and view them there, and then we'll also be getting the information posted on the website under the business department, so that's another way people can go and find it. And then once the budget is adopted, I will also be sharing an update with all staff as well.
Okay.
On where we're at. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Dr. Gogan, is there any, do you know of any other concerns we might have about state or federal payments being lowered, like the transportation one?
No, that's really the only one.
That's one that's our concern.
Yep.
Maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I thought we talked about the EBF maybe being calculated differently.
Yes, so EBF is not being calculated differently, but we have moved, so over the course of the past few years, the district has moved from tier 2 to tier 3, and we're definitely on the verge of being a tier 4 district. And essentially that means, right, in their calculation, the district has the financial capacity to fund its programs and itself through local means, and so we don't get new tier funding. So one of the things, moving from tier 2 to tier 3, the district used to get a couple $100,000 in new tier funding. 2 years ago, the district received $61,000 extra, and then this past year, we got $3,400 in new tier funding. So essentially, our state funding will continue to remain flat. We won't have access to any new tier money, because that's reserved for districts who fall into that tier 1 or 2 tier category.
And what's the criteria for tier 2, tier 3?
Yeah, so much of it is based on your local capacity. So districts that don't have a strong tax base, don't have that local capacity, it's offset by the state contribution.
Quick question on the bond and interest. So I don't know what page this is, but where it shows revenue for 25-26, it's 12.5, expenditure 12.3. So we got more interest, something hit correctly.
Yeah.
So there's a surplus 165.5.
Yeah.
Does that roll back into the next year's payment? Does that get put towards capital projects? How does that work specifically?
So this is tentative right now,
Yeah.
so that number, when we actually level, it will be flat. It will be 0.
Got it.
On the operating budget, you're asking for $77.5 million with a total tentative budget of $91.7. Is the difference in those two the bond?
Yes, that's the majority of it.
Okay.
So the operating funds are just our ed fund, operations and maintenance, transportation, and working cash. And then when we talk about the overall budget, it incorporates all of funds. But the biggest payment there is in the debt services. in those
How
bond
certain
payments.
are we that we're gonna get the money that we haven't received yet?
For like which category? From the state?
Yeah,
Confident.
okay.
Confident. Like I do not anticipate coming back and saying we never got that payment. There have been times historically where the state has failed to make the payment on time, but the payment has always come.
Okay.
And so, we know that we're going to get that money. We still have some outstanding money. Final expenditure reports aren't due until July 20th to the state, and so there is that little bit of lag time when it may be submitted to when the comptroller releases that money. But we know, we're confident that we'll get that.
How much outstanding costs do we think are out there yet?
Expenditure-wise,
Yeah.
0. We closed, like,
Okay.
there are no, please don't submit anything further. That will be a discussion. So say if there was an expenditure out there, like, someone's like, Jackie, I didn't get this invoice into you. We've let people know that's actually booked on the new budget. Like, our books are closed for
Okay.
June 30, so there are no expenditures still hanging out there
And you feel confident in the 606,000
from the state.
on
Yep.
transportation as well?
Yep.
That that's not gonna be adjusted or,
No, because that's what we know that we're owed for this year.
okay.
Those are the outstanding ones for this year. They won't prorate that. It would be prorating anything for the upcoming transportation claim.
Any other questions? All right, seeing no further questions, I will entertain a motion that the Board of Education approve the 2025-2026 tentative budget as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Stalcup.
Aye.
Mr. Mankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kleisner.
Aye.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. The third item of new business is the approval of the tentative budget for the Fox Valley Career Center. Dr. Bogan, if you would be so kind as to provide more information.
Yeah, so this will be a little bit shorter. So Kaneland School Board acts as the administrative agent for Fox Valley Career Center, and as such is formally required to adopt both the tentative and the final budget for FVCC each year. Fox Valley is governed by its own board, and that's made up of the superintendents from all of the member districts. And so this budget has already been reviewed by their governing board and approved. And so our board needs to handle that last step of it. Their budget is definitely developed not only with their director and their staff members, but also input from all of their board members. So all of the member district superintendents also provide input. And it reflects projected enrollment, staffing, supply, equipment needs, building operations, and then also is aligned to Fox Valley Career Center's strategic plan. They do also incorporate the same, anticipated state and federal funding, as well as tuition payments and reimbursements that they receive as well. So for the upcoming year, total projected revenue is just over $2.4 million. And that is largely supported through that tuition reimbursement. But they're also expected to receive just over $330,000 from the Career and Technical Education Improvement Grant, as well as just over $34,000 from the Perkins grant funding. On the expenditure side of things, they're also projecting just over $2.4 million. It's slightly lower than last year's budget, and really that's primarily due to changes in enrollment, some changes in staffing. We had some retirements at Fox Valley this year, and so that is reflected in the budget. They are looking at a balanced budget with a projected surplus of just over $2,000 at $2,082. So very tight there. But this budget is approximately 0.75% lower than last year's budget. And again, that's really due to changes in staffing, some of those retirements. They do have a rather small staff compared to Kaneland. So any of those changes are reflected in their budget.
Now, historically, they've always run a surplus, a small surplus though, right?
They try to. They try and be, within.
Yeah.
I think last year was just like $400 was the anticipated surplus. So, and again, their final budget will change as they continue to monitor enrollment throughout the summer. But for their budget, enrollment is truly probably the largest driver of what their budget is, because they staff everything that they do is entirely based on the programming that they're offering to students who attend.
All right. Any questions from the board members?
How are the salaries going down over the next 2 years?
At
So
Fox Valley?
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are driven by individuals.
Yeah.
Dr. Burchell retiring, so, they retire high and then,
The replacement comes in
Mr.
as
Gosh is
well.
not making, he's not coming in with that level of experience.
Well, I
In
just-
addition to a couple of other staff members.
So
Yeah.
like welding, last year was 53,000, next year it's going to 8,000. And then the year after, it's 24,000.
Correct.
A little less.
So some of that is driven by enrollment. So if they don't run as many sections,
They don't.
that FTE may be lower. So the welding program, even though that teacher is there, the welding program, maybe there's only one section of welding or one section of, and again, that could change substantially by the time we get to final budget for them, based on enrollment. But then, right, even if we had to add sections of that, so it would increase the cost in welding, it would be offset by additional tuition. So you would most likely, you're always gonna see from Fox Valley essentially a zero balanced budget, right? Very close to it.
Their interest on investments are negative.
I will have to check on that with
It
Rich.
shows negative, it's not a lot of money, it's
Yeah.
negative $100, but
And that's probably due, they're not carrying long-term investments, and so there is some cost to
trade.
have that money. Fees and things like that.
You don't see too many negatives on investments.
Making sure.
That's some of my investments.
Don't look, just buy more cows.
Any other questions? Any other further discussion? We'll now entertain a motion that the Board of Education approve the 2025-2026 Fox Valley Career Center tentative budget as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Dr. Lawler,
Aye.
Mr. Stalcup,
Aye.
Mr. Mankowski,
Aye.
Mr. Kleisner,
Aye.
Mr. Cook,
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. The Fox 2025-2026 Fox Valley Career Center tentative budget is approved. The fourth item of new business is the approval of Kaneland High School Child Development Textbook. Dr. Rowling, if you can provide more information,
I'm gonna
please.
hand this one off to Dr. Horn.
Good evening. So about 3 months ago, we came before you with a request for new curriculum tools. Upon approval, each textbook has to sit available for public view for 30 days. I have an additional book that I am bringing forward for recommendation for approval from the Board of Education. This is for our child development class. This is a class that's offered on a bi-yearly basis, means every other year. And because of retirements and staff turnover, we are now on our third teacher teaching it. Through the process of scheduling it and bringing the teacher up to speed, we became aware of the fact that the class was running without a consistent textbook. So it was piecemealed curriculum materials that was being put together, working with the teacher who also happens to be the department chair for our career and tech education department. We were able to find and identify a textbook. It is Cengage's Child and Adolescent Development in Your Classroom. It's the fourth edition of the textbook. It totals $4,100.25. That does include a classroom set by teacher request. The teacher has requested that we use hard copies for this class, and that does include a teacher toolkit for the teacher. It's coming from the curriculum adoption. budget, which does have that in there. The reason why I wasn't part of the initial request back in April is because of the turnover, and we were still going through it. Wanted to make sure that we identified the right tool to bring before the board. Okay, answer any questions?
Why is this a bi-yearly class?
It's based on college and career tech classes. The scheduling is problematic because there are usually one or maybe two teachers that are licensed to teach that class.
Oh, okay.
So you'll have a teacher that can only have so many classes that they're taught throughout the year. And how you schedule that is usually based on the availability of the teacher. It's also balanced out by the pathway that the class is on. This class feeds into things such as our education pathway. So our students that are looking to become teachers, working with them on a 4-year plan, that they would have this class before they would have the subsequent education classes and rotating them that way.
Got it.
If the requests were there and students were asked, because we do schedule based on teacher requests or student requests, then the request would be for an expansion of FTE within the department.
Got it.
Any further questions? Any further discussion? All right, I will entertain a motion that the Board of Education approve the purchase of the Cengage textbook, Child and Adolescent Development in Your Classroom, Topical Approach, 4th edition.
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Stalcup.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye.
Mr. Kleisner.
Aye.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCullough.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
The
Thanks,
per,
everyone.
sorry?
I said thanks.
Oh.
Thank you.
The purchase of the Cengage textbook, Child and Adolescent Development in Your Classroom, Topical Approach, 4th edition, is approved. The 5th item of new business is the approval of the McDole School Improvement Plan for ISB. Dr. Rowing, if you would please provide more information.
Happy to. So as you know, in October of 2024, McDowell Elementary was identified as targeted through the ISB School Accountability System. In May, Mr. Zerfus came and presented the work of the team. This year was the planning year. They had a dedicated team that came up with a comprehensive plan that was presented in May. The 3 primary goals are a 5% increase in iReady on students grades 1 through 5, scoring on above grade level, at or above grade level. A 6% increase in students with disabilities, scoring a 4 or higher on the IAR, and then a process goal of 80% of students meeting a self-identified growth goal in math. It's associated with a series of 90-day plans. Mr. Zerfus has worked to onboard Mr. White. Luckily, they're both Brians, so I don't need to learn a lot of new names. But Mr. White will bring that plan to life when we return in August. They are on 90-day action plans, so it is meant to be a live document. We do need to get board approval on this so that we can enter that with ISB so that we can access the approximately $36,600 in grant money that is earmarked for the school improvement process through the accountability program.
Is that 36,000 for this fiscal year or last fiscal year?
For the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay.
Last fiscal year, we got around 6,000, and that is largely used basically to pay teachers for their time for developing that plan. Over the next couple of years, this year we're getting 36.6. It will likely cascade down over the next 4 years of the plan. That's the model that it uses.
Pardon my ignorance. I didn't realize the IAR was based on a number scale. What is?
It's 1 through 5. That's actually likely to change, so
Okay.
probably at the punt.
Okay.
Okay, so there are 5 different categories of achievement.
Okay.
Okay. And so 4 would be proficient.
Good. All right.
But ISB is actually going through a process of realigning all those scores, and it's likely that they're gonna go to a 4-category system, so we'll likely have to adjust that once we know where that lands.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
I know that Brian helped the other Brian.
One of the many.
Yeah. Although it's a lot to put on Brian White, right? This is a brand new thing, right? So, Dr. Horn and yourself, are you guys going to be kind of working with him? Okay.
Absolutely.
I assume as much as wanted to put it out there.
Dr. Horn and Ms. Eggleston were very involved in the development of the plan, attended most of the meetings.
Good.
We will continue to support through that. Mr. White was very aware of that throughout the process. And like I said, Mr. Zerfus has been working with him over the past few weeks and has said, he'll continue to make himself available as we kind of kick that off, so.
Good. Good, thanks.
And again, I've been through this process a handful of times in my previous district, so we'll be able to guide him through that process.
Awesome. We're gonna get there.
Any other questions? Any further discussion? All right, I will entertain a motion that the Board of Education approve the McDowell School Improvement Plan for ISB.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Mankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kleisner.
Aye.
Mr. Cook.
Aye.
Mr. McCauley.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Stalcup.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. The McDowell School Improvement Plan for Illinois State Board of Education is approved. The sixth item of new business is a referendum update. Dr. Rowling, if you could provide more information, please.
Absolutely. So as I identified previously, we will be bringing an update to the second meeting of every month to provide both the board and the community some information as to how things are going. So as of where we are right now, I just want to provide a few things. We did interview and select Nicholas and Associates to serve as a construction manager at risk for the projects. The board approved, it gave Dr. Bogan authority to engage in that contract at the last meeting. It was a very rigorous process. We're excited to work with them. I believe they're very excited to work with us. We have met a number of times with the steering committee to identify some local sites that we'll be visiting to help with the planning phase. So the steering committee will be making some initial visits to local schools that have facilities that may be in line with what we're looking to do as we kind of work through the summer here. We did develop an initial draft of meeting dates with our planning committees that we will be, there's another update on that coming up. But those dates are in draft form, and we expect to have them done in mid-July. We have begun development of a website to allow the community to see the completion, see where we're at. And Mr. Chavez is busy getting some before pictures so we can show people the transformation. And then finally, we did successfully complete the first round of bond issuance with bonds bid, sold, and scheduled to close July 8th, 2025. So we will have some money in the coffers to help us get started on those initial projects. So I want to thank Mr. Chavez for his work. I want to thank Dr. Bogan for answering all the emails that I don't completely understand. And I want to thank Mr. Stalcup has worked with the team, and also she's not here, but Ms. Simmons worked to help select the construction manager.
What are the initial projects?
It's really startup money to pay for things like the architect fees, those types of things. We may, if we identify some machinery, like big switch gears or the big HVAC stuff, we may have to put down payments on things like that.
Okay.
But largely it is just startup to get the planning process going.
Okay, perfect.
Does any of that include like the carpets and stuff in the grade schools and tiling or whatever?
Likely not in this initial bond issuance, but those are the projects we will start planning.
Those won't happen this summer?
Nothing is going to happen in this summer. By the time we pass in April, Even if we wanted to go out, most of the contractors have already bid their jobs. So what you get when you start bidding jobs in May are really inflated because they're just taking on extra jobs they don't care if they get it or not, their schedule's full. Our goal is to move through the planning process so that we are going out for bid, right around November, December, January, so that we're getting the early bids. And so we expect to see significant construction next summer. We hope to see some of our projects breaking ground at thaw of 26. So some of the projects that aren't in the school, transportation, the field house, we're hoping are kicking off in the spring. But now that we have our construction manager on board, we're actually meeting tomorrow with the construction manager and our architects to kind of make sure the team's already assembled. We'll start to get more detailed plans as we go. Some of that may be driven by availability, those types of things. So I'll continue to update the board and the community on the actual scheduling of the projects once they become clearer. I don't want to go out now and say this is going to happen, and then we have to make an adjustment, right? As we move through the rest of the summer, we will be sharing the application to participate on one of the core planning teams. We have 3 core planning teams. The academic core planning team to focus on the high school and the academic spaces will be renovating. The PE and athletics core planning team that will focus on the field house and our other PE and athletic facilities, stadium updates, those types of things. And then a playground core planning team that will focus in on the playground. Those will share that application tomorrow with the community. Applications will be open until July 11th. We hope that people that are interested and have maybe some unique experience or feedback for us apply. We'll be selecting members of the core planning team during the week of July 14th. I do anticipate we'll probably have more people apply than we're actually able to take. You have to have a workable team. We are developing an initial calendar, though, of events to gather feedback from the larger community and staff through some of the same vehicles that we use in the promotion. So we'll be doing meetings with staff through their working time or potentially after school if we need them for additional times. We'll be doing some availabilities in the community, seeking feedback through surveys or other tools to make sure that we are getting the voice of the community as well as we can. So we are developing those feedback tools for the community. And then we are developing a schedule to get feedback through the teacher stakeholder groups so that teachers are aware, they're able to share with us what they would like to see as we move forward. Any questions?
No, I think the one thing you didn't highlight was that Nicholas and Associates would be working with some of the students or select students depending from Fox Valley Career Center.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't have the details on that yet,
yeah.
but we have had a lot of conversations with them, not just from Fox Valley. So I think we want to work, and they were very open to being creative on this. We have engineering classes at the high school. We have graphics classes. We have our own construction classes, and then we have Fox Valley. But then we also have a variety of opportunities where students can learn, hopefully, about not just the construction process, but everything that goes into it. So they were really excited about the opportunity to work with students, and so we plan to really try to bring as many of our students into the process as possible, and we hope to get some student voices on the core planning groups too.
No, I think that's a really cool cherry on top that I don't think we really thought about at the beginning of this. We were just trying to get to this point. So when you guys discussed that, brought that up last week, I thought that was really special. And if we can get the kid, more of the students involved, community involved, I think that's really, really cool.
So I agree, and I think that was something. It was fun to watch. As we asked them about that, you could see the wheels spinning in their heads too about what are some opportunities, and so we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna try to be really creative in terms of getting our kids real world experiences that can either help them decide what they want to do with the rest of their lives, right? But also give them something to then jump into their post-secondary careers.
Absolutely.
Other questions?
No further questions? All right.
Thank you.
There is no action needed for this agenda item. It is now time for the superintendent board report. Dr. Rowing, do you have anything to share before you go to the wilds of Michigan?
Oh, I do. I gotta share a bunch of stuff before I go off the grid here. So if you're looking for me as of 8 o'clock Wednesday, I have no signal. Good for you. So I want to begin the report tonight by sharing an update on our transportation personnel. As you likely know, we had a bus involved in a very serious accident on Route 47 last week. I want to share that Alan Mikulski was released from the hospital Wednesday evening and is doing well. Maybe returning to work this week. I have
Possibly
not
returning
heard.
on Wednesday, yeah, but we're not rushing him.
Nope, we are not rushing him at all. Transportation aide Missy Braswell sustained some injuries and is on the road to recovery. I've exchanged some text messages with her. I know Dr. Bogan's communicated with her too. We will be working to support both of them over the coming weeks and months as they recover. I also want to thank our first responder partners, Sugar Grove Police and Fire Department, for the quick response and professionalism in reacting to the accident. They had 47 shut down. They were, by the time I got to the scene, which really isn't that far from the office, they had already got our employees medical attention and were getting ready to transport. So they did a great job. Really always happy to work with them. Not in those situations, but it's good to see the community come together when something like that happens. Finally, I will be working with the Village of Sugar Grove to try to get IDOT to do something about that dangerous intersection. I'm not a traffic expert, but we have to do something about that. So we're going to work together to try to get that done. Also today, the district began the transition to a new and updated website. I was actually on there earlier today. So we're excited about that. This will be an ongoing process to make the website more user-friendly and serve as a hub for information and news regarding our district. So while you will see some initial changes, we'll also be doing consistent review, getting feedback on how easy it is to navigate the website. I always tell our team, I am the worst possible customer because I don't like to click more than 3 times. So hopefully we continue to work through that.
The same web address though?
Same web address,
Okay,
yes.
just make sure.
Nothing has changed there. That all happened with the tech wizards on the background using their internet wizardry. So you don't have to change your bookmarks. That'll all go there.
Perfect, thank you.
Finally, we are in the process of building a candidate pool for the principal position at Shields. We will screen applicants during the week of the 7th after I return from the Great North to determine a pool of candidates to take to a stakeholder panel on July 15th. We anticipate having a preferred candidate identified by July 21st for the board approval at the regular board meeting on July 28th.
Perfect.
So we are moving quickly on that. I think I'm excited that we have what I view to be a pretty strong pool at this time. The deposting will remain open until later, I believe the end of this week. So, so that is all I have today.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rowling. Dr. Bogan?
Yes, just one item. As part of the consent agenda this evening, the board did approve mechanical work for 2025 cooling equipment replacement at John Shields and Harder Middle School. This was part of our summer 2025 capital projects planning that the board previously approved. But this specific work did go out to bid, and so that bid came back. Mr. Payton, in conjunction with Wold Architects and Engineers, reviewed all the scope, everything that was submitted, and did recommend Acetatelli Heating and Piping Contractors. They were the lowest, most responsible bidder for the amount of $62,000, and so that work will now begin this summer. So there were some heating and cooling elements that needed to be replaced that were not part of the referendum work. That are being addressed through our normal capital projects planning and budget. So I just wanted to thank the board for approving that, and also just bringing that to everyone's attention that this was already previously approved, and that's why it was on the consent agenda this evening. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bogan. Board members?
I have a question. the bus accident was right outside my subdivision. And as they were rescuing the people out the hatch, it occurred, do we offer our buses for first responder training?
We have buses we have some buses at the regional training center, which is housed on our campus.
Okay. So Sugar Grove utilizes those, Elburn?
I believe so. Elburn has on it. I don't believe Elburn has used it as much, but they do training, and we meet with our first responders annually to open up our facilities and see what we can do to help them be prepared. And I watched the video, which was tough, but they were in there very quickly. They were able to get our people out pretty fast. So
They did well. There was an
Did very well.
audience too.
Yes, there was. I was part of it.
Any other board members? All right, topics for future agendas.
I can't remember which ones are outstanding right now. There are a couple still hanging around, aren't there?
Yeah, there was some questions about data, but we are waiting for the data to become official. And that is the only outstanding one. I'll check my notes.
There was one, I think we brought up about, and this may show up in the Friday update, so maybe that's where it's gonna go, about shuffling teachers and, because Chris has to move.
Yeah,
them to
so
here,
Dr. Atkins does share that in the weekly update. I can tell you that as of right now, we have brought back a lot of teachers that are initially rift. We are almost fully staffed. We have to hire one principal. As of today, I believe we have 2 teachers and an occupational therapist still needing to be hired.
Okay.
But it's still early. And the chaos will come. So continue to give you updates through the weekly update on all those comings and goings.
Perfect.
Really significant in that is that we've been able to hire our own for some of the more difficult to fill positions.
Yeah.
School psychologists, social workers. We've also, excuse me, asked to consult with Mid-Valley. Are there positions that are shareable?
Oh, that's good.
Well, for some of the hard to fill, apparently Chris is talking with Mid-Valley, especially on the OT.
Yeah.
It's like your leprechaun unicorns.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
you have an easier time finding a leprechaun unicorn than you do an OT. Well, I mean,
Yeah, so
just
you're
real-
absolutely right.
well, it's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
I know. So, yeah.
And then I will say, kudos to our special ed team and to Dr. Atkins for securing, especially those psychologists and social workers, because last year we had to pay an outside service, and that's wildly expensive. So that, plus we always want our own people, right?
We want our own people.
And so, we will continue to try to find creative ways to solve some of those hard to find positions.
Yeah, and if it's possible to co-op with other districts for some of those
That's a great idea.
that are contracting, maybe it can be a position to be shared. Dr. Atkins is
It's a great
exploring
idea.
that, yeah.
It's a great idea.
All right, other topics for future agendas? No others? All right, any further public comments? No. All right, we'll be out of here a decent hour. Huh? No. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting at, wait for it, 7:13 PM.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by voting aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned.